Hello, this is Steve, your YouTube English teacher, and this week we are doing the second in our writing series. We're looking at B2 and C1 email questions, the common questions that you get and how to answer them. So let's start straight away with a letter of application. It's July 2025, and you as an active, productive member of society want a job, so you need to apply for this job. You should be able to write an application letter in English. How do you write an application letter? Well, I've got a longer video on this, but the main point is think about the post you want and why you want it, and think about what makes you good for it. Be positive. It's all about this positive tone. So if when I'm reading a question like this, I'm picking out the important details in my email of application, which is we're going to be working in a beach bar. So we're thinking of things like being good with people, customer service, and maybe being interested in food. These are the content points I want to include. So then I would plan my answer something like this. For my introduction, dear manager, I'm writing to express my interest. Useful phrases like this. Little description of yourself in the intro. I'm motivated and friendly, and I could learn a lot and contribute to your beach bar. Again, with my introduction, I'm trying to do my three main functions. I'm setting the scene. So we're talking about applying to a job at a beach bar. I'm trying to say what I'm going to write about, which is myself, motivated, friendly, giving a bit of a summary of yourself, and make them want to continue reading, in this case, because you're saying you're going to contribute. So you're covering everything in the intro. Then we can get into a bit more detail. My young age, I have ample experience of customer service and teamwork. And then this is a plan, so I'm going to give my details, my examples. I've worked in a family restaurant. I've been on a work experience program at school for 2 weeks where I did certain things and so on. And this is the second writing part 2 and the second in my series of videos. So we're doing use of English part 2. Quick grammar question for you. What word best fits the gap in the start of this point? It's a contrasting word, isn't it? Because you're young, but you've got lots of experience. A contrasting word, use of English part 2, common C1 word, maybe a difficult one for B2, but the best word in one word, meaning contrast, is despite my young age, because despite something, despite my age. And then you'll also notice really nice little phrases like ample experience. This is a common collocation. We can say ample experience or vast experience. You don't say large experience or big experience. You say ample or vast. Nice phrases that you can try to remember and use. I would then expand on my interest in food, because this is the second part of the question, about how I've always been interested in this culture. Details about how I love the swordfish at your beach bar. So I really I'm personalizing it, and I want that job there because I would fit in very well at your beach bar. In conclusion, your closing phrases. I'm available for interview. I'd look forward to hearing from you. See you around. Keeping it formal, obviously. So our plan would look something like that. And then we've answered one of our most common email question types in the writing for B2 and C1 part 2. Should note here as well, I'm just saying email because people don't write letters anymore, do they? It's a bit weird that letter is still on the exam. Letter or email is the same thing. The point is you are writing a personal message to normally one person or specific person or people. In the case of then email or letter, you do need to think about formal or informal. Here we are being a bit more formal, objective, impersonal, because it's a serious thing. This beach bar, they want serious people, so you're writing a bit more in a serious manner. Once we've thought about that, let's have a fun little bit of speaking. Would you rather work in a shop, a restaurant, or a museum for your customer service-based summer job? Why? Why would you say that? Again, this is what I'm doing in my class. We're going to have a little bit of speaking as well to balance the class. But the point here is that you can express these common ideas on these common topics, places of work, qualifications, skills, preferences about work. Important skills to be able to talk about that at a B2 or C1 level. Right, let's go a bit faster then. As always, the first one I've done in more detail. Now we're going to move on and look at lots more types of email that you'll get for B2 or C1, but a bit faster. Second question, you are staying in the UK and there are some problems with your flat. So you are writing about the problems. You are writing an email of complaint. You are complaining, another common writing type for C1. How would we do this? Well, in our introduction, again, dear work smart team, The modern convention is not to say dear sir or madam, because it's a bit old-fashioned, and maybe some people don't like being called sir or madam. I would find it a bit strange myself to be called sir. I'm a cool guy. I'm not a sir, you know. So if you can, it's better to say dear, and then the actual people you're writing to. Like, did I do this in the last one? Dear manager, because we're writing to the manager of the bar. And then here, dear work smart team, dear editor, dear, if you can, write the name of the person that you're writing to. Anyway, the point is, why are you writing? I am writing to, and hopefully find a solution. So again, we're going to describe what we're going to say. And I say about this interesting, about trying to make an introduction interesting. I think the point here is you do need to catch their attention in some way. So if I say quite serious problems, then just this word choice is hopefully making them want to continue reading. It's setting the tone, and they're going to say, oh dear, quite serious problems. I better read this. So it's not like you're catching their attention in the way of like writing a review or something, but you are writing in a way that makes them want to continue reading, that's appropriate for this text type. And hopefully you will then, they'll want to read about your problems. For example, the main issue is mold in the bathroom and bedroom. Only ugly, but also potentially harmful. And then a bit more detail about what you're going to do about this problem, because it says describe the problem and ask for a solution. Use of English part 2. Which word goes in that gap? Thinking about the context of this sentence, the mold is not only ugly, but also harmful. This is a problem if it's very moldy. So there you go. We're thinking about details like that. Have you had any bad accommodation experiences? Surely everyone has. Everyone's lived in some weird places at some point, shared rooms with weird, or houses with weird people, maybe rooms. Well, maybe, And you've got an interesting story that you can express using your high level of English. That would be a nice thing to do in your class. Right, number 3. Your friend is visiting. Finally, we can write in a more informal way. They're visiting the place where you live, and they want tips for what to do for an authentic cultural experience. So it's a bit more of a specific question. Try to keep it to that focus. And you might say something like, if you live in Galicia, get up early, go for a walk to buy fresh octopus with paprika from a street vendor. Then go to the beach with some details and have it for lunch. The octopus, not the beach, with fresh bread and salad. Lovely. Why are you getting up early? Use of English part 2. You are getting up early so that you can go for a walk to buy fresh octopus. Again, you can see what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to, when I plan my answer, be as specific as possible. Your letter, your friend's not going to be very impressed if you say, oh, you have to visit the local town museum that has interesting artifacts. What? Every single town in the world has a local museum with interesting artifacts. But if you're a bit more specific, like with details, octopus and paprika, and then maybe, I should have gone into more detail in my plan, but which beach? What makes it special? The beach I went to in Galicia was the cathedral beach, wasn't it? With those incredible rock formations that look like a cathedral and you can walk under the rocks. So be specific and you're going to write a better letter. And in general, email to your friend, And in general, in all of these writing types, in your plan, be specific. That will translate to a better final piece of writing. So with that in mind, what would you recommend for a tourist in your town? And don't just say, go to the museum, go to the church, go to the park, and then say the name of that park in your local language. No, give me those details. What really makes it interesting? Give me a funny story about the time you went there, and then makes your friend want to emulate that experience. So you get the idea, talking on these common topics. Question number 4. You are writing to a museum director after the exhibition really made an impact on you. Could be positive, could be negative. So this one is more like an evaluation letter, like you're evaluating something that happened. You obviously feel very strongly about it because you're emailing the museum director. But I guess maybe that is possible if it's, as it says in the question, something that you are very passionate about. Here's my sample answer. It's about the exhibit on domestic cleaning from mop to machine. And the use of English part 2 question there. It's anything but boring. I liked it. There were lots of highlights. It was a great exhibit. What theme would you choose for a museum exhibition if you were a museum curator or director? Interesting question. And again, talk about why, talk about the history, the details, the examples, all those things. Question 5. This one, you are sort of writing to the editor. You're writing an email to the editor of a website, and it's almost like part essay, part article. You are explaining your position on some topic in the form of an email to the editor of a magazine, or in this case, website. And hopefully you understand this topic. I'm trying to make the topics accessible, common, like they do on the B2-C1 exam. This is a common idea that you should be able to talk about. Are young people now, today, rude compared to the past? As a teacher, obviously I say yes. Young people today, they're terrible. They're no respect. But, this, obviously I don't really think that. It's more complicated than that. It's a topic, debate that you should be able to share some ideas on. Here's one idea you could share. I would like to draw readers' attention, a famous quote from Plato. The point being, people have always complained about young people, but really young people, humanity's still here. We're more or less continuing to survive, more or less. And you draw someone's attention, use of English part 2, you draw someone's attention to something. Nice little phrase there. What do you think? What are the best and worst things about the youth of today? Can you share some of these common ideas about whether society is going downhill and we are in decadent times and so on? That's what we're going to talk about. But then we're going to move on to our 6th email question, which is, again, a bit more of an informal one about the influence of social media. You are writing to a social media personality about how social media people and social media can have an impact on your life. So I'm thinking things like I'm writing to one of my heroes. It can be a bit more informal because you're writing, social media is a inherently informal situation. You're writing like a DM, a direct message, a personal message. It's to a person who you admire, but you're just doing it because you want to talk to them, almost like a friend. It's not like a work serious situation. So it's a bit more informal. And you might say things like how fitness influencers show new ways of working out beyond the gym. This is what happened to me by seeing these YouTubers who do different types of working out. I've got new ideas of how to work out, and I to think a gym membership would help, but now I realize all you need is will, as in determination and creativity. For example, and then you give a couple of examples of new ways of working out on the street, using stones in the park, going for runs, all those kind of things. And use of English part 2, the word in that gap, context, I to think this, but now I realize this. We need a word that means something that was true in the past, but not now. You used to think that this was the way to do it, but now you realize no. So hopefully we're understanding these common ideas, and you can write an email to your favorite social media personality about that topic. Can you think of what you would say in that? If you didn't want to talk about fitness influencers, what would you talk about? Is there something else you could, what positive impact has social media had on you? That's the question. Topic number 7, it's sort of a letter of application again. If you read the question carefully, you are applying for a course and you might be able to go on this fun course for free if you write a good letter. So you have to be convincing in your letter. You also have to obviously say what is the field of study or work. Remember, always try and imagine that you're in this real situation. The more convincing your letter is, the better. I mean, like in a real letter that would really get you a place on the course, the higher grade you will get. Even if you don't really want the place and you don't care. But the point is to show that you can write in these contexts. So make it real and think, okay, if I was actually applying for a course, yes, I would say what the course was about. And then I would say relevant things about my experience and my desire and my personality and so on, of why I should be on that course. For example, my first paragraph, My course is about veterinary science, about being a vet, and my passion began when I rescued a kitten. True story. True. That's why it feels so real, because I really did it in the pandemic. I rescued a 1-day-old kitten and fed it, and it survived, and she's still with us, and she normally comes to visit me in class, but she's not coming today. Maybe she's been in these videos before, I don't remember. But this is what happened first, and then this turn led to more interest. For example, I am volunteering at a cat shelter, and so on and so on. And the phrase that means, as a consequence, the next thing that happened is in turn. A nice phrase you can use for connecting your ideas together, a high-level connecting phrase. But hopefully you see what I'm doing here. It's very clear what the course is, and I'm very clearly explaining my interest in it with examples, with details. Have you ever attended any interesting courses? Probably not. They're normally a bit of a waste of time. So tell me about a boring one. Great. And if you haven't been on any, well, what course would you like to go on? Maybe there's some course that could inspire your path for the future. Topic number 8. This is again a bit of a complaint because you had a guided tour experience that didn't live up to your expectations in terms of content and delivery. So we're going to talk about both of these points, and you're going to ask for a refund. Read the question carefully and include all the points of the question. Here is one point of the question that you could include. Talking about the content, which was the first one, it didn't provide any insight, the lesser known aspects of the town history or culture. How do we use the phrase insight? It's a bit of a common C1 phrase. You've probably seen it in my classes before, or you've definitely, well, I've seen it in many C1 textbooks. You provide or give or offer insight into something. That is the phrase that we need. And this content didn't give any insight into the town's history or culture. So I'm complaining and I want my money back. Or I would kindly appreciate a full refund given the and so on. Talking about complaints, have you complained? Are you the kind of person who complains? Has it been positive? Did you get your money back? So it's very fun when it works sometimes, isn't it? Very satisfying. And I sometimes think if it's happened a couple of times and I complain and I got my money back and I thought, oh, I should do this all the time. I should become a Karen. I should become, an awkward customer because annoyingly, it does seem to work sometimes. But then it's also a bit stressful. So on the other hand, not recommended. Right, our penultimate topic. You are emailing a friend. This one's nice and easy. The topic is technology. You're emailing a friend and you're recommending them something, talking to them about something that you like and they should try. In this case, an app. What app? That's up to you. WhatsApp. I know WhatsApp's a bit dumb because you don't need to recommend WhatsApp to someone. They've already got it. But, think of some app that they might like, a cooking app, a football app, a sports app, and so on, and tell them about it. In my case, obviously, I went for Pokemon trading card game Pocket, which I'm still obsessed with this year. And here's makes it so fun. Relative pronouns, super common on Use of English Part 2. Had to include this, didn't I? What makes it so fun? The thing that makes it, or the things that make it so fun. And then I'm going to go into some details about how it's very fun to collect the cards, how the art is beautiful, how you can battle with your cards very easily, how you don't have to pay any money for it. It works very well as a free game. And thank you for sponsoring this video, Pokemon Trading Card Game, by giving me, one free pack in this video. No, that's a joke. I'm not sponsored. Talking about apps, little speaking. If you can only have 3 apps, which are they and why? And a fun bit of speaking. As we move on to our last question, it's another informal email about learning a language, common topic, because obviously if you are taking an English exam, you can talk about learning Englishes, about learning or even just one English. So the point here is about using apps of memorizing vocabulary. What's your opinion? Do you have other tips? And you might say something like, there are some advantages, it's handy, it's frequent, it's easy to use, and it's good that you've made the effort, but I warn you, relying solely on these apps, because it's only vocab. So how do we use warn? We need the preposition that goes with to warn someone, warn someone, doing something. You warn someone against doing something. And what do you think? What's the best language learning method? Have you used apps? Have you used YouTube? Have you used classes and so on? And what works? Reading books, all the listening to songs and writing down vocab, all these fun things. So as you can see, another informal email there. And that's 10 possible email topics for B2 and C1. And your homework is going to be, random number, write one of them. Have fun with your homework. Goodbye.